Informative, enlightening, provocative, engaging. The Lunchroom on RCI. Food for thought. The station that gives you, more lunch.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International, and it is Monday, August the 25th, 2025, and this is program number 1434 of the Lunchroom, and I'm your host, Calix George Jr. Of course, in addition to 101.1 FM radio, you can also get us at our website, rcistlucia.com, and we are also streaming live on our Facebook feed. You just have to search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International. And of course, if you want to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, the number to do so is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. WhatsApp number as well is available, and that is 724-0008. You can call in or you can message in on WhatsApp. And again, that number is 724-0008. Now, some birthday greetings for today. We want to send out first some belated birthday greetings to Mrs. Joyce Destang. Happy birthday to you. We do hope that you had a very, very blessed and enjoyable birthday celebration. Also to Dr. Jimmy Fletcher. He celebrates his birthday today. Happy birthday to you. And of course, we do appreciate all of the work that you do, especially in the climate change front. And to Mrs. Crystal Riviere, happy birthday to you, Crystal. And we're hoping that you're having a fantastic birthday celebration. Having a wonderful time, I do hope. And also to Mr. Wasim Janura, happy birthday to you, sir. And hope it is a wonderful birthday well spent. A look back in time on this day. And we go back to the year 1718. Where hundreds of French colonists arrived in Louisiana and found the city of New Orleans. In the year 1768, on this day, Captain James Cook departed from Plymouth, England, bound for the Pacific on his first voyage. And he was aboard a ship called the Endeavour. In the year 1894, on this day, August the 25th, Japanese scientist Shibasaburo Kitasato, he discovered the infectious agent of the bubonic plague and published his findings in the journal The Lancet. And in 1944, on this day, German commander Dietrich von Kollitz surrendered Paris to the Free French forces of Philippe Leclerc, disobeying Adolf Hitler's orders to destroy the city. And President of the Provisional Government of the French Republic, Charles de Gaulle, gave a famous speech at the Paris City Hall, the Hôtel de Ville. 1990, on this day, the UN Security Council announced military action against Iraq for invading Kuwait. And in 1991, on this day, Linux was born. And that was when Linus Torvalds sent an email announcing his project to create a new computer operating system. We now move on to our dish of the day.
Every bed in our hospitals tells a story of someone's mother, someone's brother, someone's friend. And when that story of care is complete, it's time for the next chapter, home. But too often, discharged patients are left waiting hours, days, weeks, sometimes months, not because they want to stay, but because no one comes. We understand life gets busy, but every extra day they wait means another patient, perhaps in pain, perhaps in crisis, can't get the bed they desperately need. So when the call comes that your loved one is ready, please be ready too. Pick them up, bring them back to the comfort of family, where healing truly continues. Because caring doesn't end at discharge, it continues with you. A message from the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to our program for today. And of course, we do hope that you had a very enjoyable weekend. Unfortunately, it wasn't so great in terms of the outcomes for the St. Lucia Kings. On Saturday, of course, a bumper crowd went out to the Darren Sam Cricket Ground to witness the first home match of the St. Lucia Kings against the Trinidad Knight Riders. And at the end of the day, unfortunately, they were not able to make the required number of runs, which were set by TKR. They posted in the region of, I think, 183 runs in their allotted 20 overs. And although the Kings appeared to have been doing pretty well for the first 10 overs, they were keeping up at just about the required run rate. They seem to have lost the plot somewhere in their mid-game and were unfortunately not able to find the sufficient number of runs, falling short by 18 runs at the end of play on Saturday night. And unfortunately, the weather did not help the outcome of respect to the Barbados Royals. Without a single ball being bowled yesterday at the Darren Sammy. And of course, that is thanks to the inclement weather, the tropical system number 99, which has been impacting the Windward Islands. And of course, that led to the unavailability of the grounds by virtue of the amount of rain falling. Covers had to be brought on, and it was a washout. So unfortunately, it does place the Kings in a rather precarious, though not impossible situation. Moving forward, of course, they would have to be looking at the rest of the season with perfect performance if they are hoping to be able to get into where they need to be, of course. To move forward, and of course, well, let's hope that we can see a better outcome, certainly in terms of the weather and certainly some play. Of course, tomorrow they are going up against the Guyana Warriors, who they did have to face off against in the finals last year, and certainly a very formidable team. Usually, the Amazon Warriors, and definitely they've got a challenge up ahead, but let's hope that they can in fact pull it off nonetheless. Now, of course, there has been quite a bit of interest in terms of the matter of crime in the region, and right here in St. Lucia, we found that a number of countries are facing crime waves, and of course the pressure is being placed on the authorities, the police force or police services of the respective islands to be able to take action and to quell the situation at hand. And of course, it's not that easy, but certainly the Royal St. Lucia Police Force has been receiving a considerable amount of resources to be able to get them to become a more effective and efficient police force. Resources, of course, are not the sum total, and but resources are exceedingly important, of course, in being able to deliver on the requirements. And of course, resources come in many different forms, whether it may be in the case of infrastructure, and that, of course, is very important. And we're hearing, of course, the whole argument being put forward now, again, though not yet corroborated by official announcement as yet, but a suggestion that maybe the evidence which had in fact, well, what seemingly went missing in the matter of 2 criminal investigations may potentially have not really have been completely missing, but may have been misplaced, which could still be a consideration of being missing. And it then begs the question as to the whole matter of having the infrastructure in place to be able to handle the matter of evidence. And we've got to take evidence very, very seriously. Cases, the burden of responsibility on the authorities, on the system of justice, falls on the basis that there is sufficient evidence to be able to create beyond doubt that an individual has in fact committed a crime. It is one of the principal planks upon which the whole system of justice is actually based, that there has to be a process through which individuals are in fact able to be found guilty, not just because we think they are, not because it seems suspicious, but in fact there has to be an adequate amount of evidence brought to bear to cast any doubt into the minds of a jury or a judge that this individual has in fact committed a crime under the law. And so the management of evidence, the collection of evidence, the establishment of evidence through a scientific process is vital in many cases. We've seen quite a number of times, for example, where, especially maybe in the case of cases involving drugs or narcotics, that it's one thing to even find the evidence, but you've got to be able to show that the individuals who you believe are responsible for having these things, it may be found on a property, but can you prove that it was theirs? Can you prove that these things have to be able to be ascertained? And so therefore there has to be a great degree of proof in these matters. And of course, in the case of violent crimes, equally, especially with respect to guns, you're speaking about ballistic evidence, you're speaking about surveillance or maybe video evidence. In some cases, maybe they are in fact witnesses, but of course we've spoken to the difficulty with respect to witnesses and the challenges in that regard. The pressure that is being was quite often placed on witnesses and persons fearful that they may become targets themselves if they participate in the judicial process. And so that, of course, has been a challenge. And so, of course, it then means that the state has to find other ways of proof, right? And so, of course, the management of the evidence is also very important. Who has custody over the evidence? Is it properly recorded? Is it kept in a safe place where there is no doubt that it could be tampered? And so if you are hearing, suggestions, as is the case now, that maybe the evidence was always there, but because of the closure of the VA4 Southern Divisional Headquarters building, that the evidence seemed to have been misplaced, it then begs a lot of questions as to the processes that are in place when dealing with these types of situations. Because we do know that in the case of that facility, which was closed, I think, a good number of years ago, and which thankfully has now been reopened after a fair bit of investment in terms of the government having to repair the facility, that you have evidence going missing in these types of situations. And if that is the case, of course, then it's unfortunate that we do not see the kind of care and process in management of evidence. And those things may have implications moving forward in terms of the ability of the prosecution to make a case. And of course, in many situations, there are other the people who are in defense quite often look for loopholes. They look for any opportunity that they can grab onto to be able to argue or create some level of doubt. And so it is just another area where we already are seeing the need for improvement in respect of the police operations and in terms of the whole management of the justice system. But we do need to commend the police for certain actions over the weekend. And of course, they were in fact out in full force in Castries yesterday. And a story coming out of the St. Lucia Times does capture that, entitled "Police Seize Cocaine, Cannabis and Cash in Major Castries Operation." And it reads as follows. In a pre-dawn operation in Castries on Sunday, police seized substantial quantities of cocaine and cannabis, a firearm, and a large sum of cash, while arresting multiple individuals. The Royal St. Lucia Police Force conducted the large-scale multi-agency operation, targeting what authorities described as high-risk areas. The coordinated action, which took place between 4 a.m. and 10 a.m., combined targeted house searches with widespread traffic enforcement. According to a police report, officers executed 15 search warrants during the exercise. The operation led to the seizure of significant quantities of cocaine and cannabis resin. Police also confirmed the recovery of one firearm with accompanying ammunition and electronic devices believed to hold evidential value. A large sum of cash was also confiscated. Authorities said several individuals were arrested on suspicion of a range of offenses, including narcotics trafficking, firearms trafficking, and violent crimes. A simultaneous traffic enforcement initiative stopped dozens of vehicles, resulting in the issuance of multiple tickets and the impoundment of several cars. One individual was arrested during the traffic checks. Police officials have confirmed that investigations into all matters related to Sunday's operations are ongoing. And so, of course, some action being taken by the Royal St. Lucia Police Force involving multiple units. And let's hope, of course, that we will see some positive news coming out of these particular actions. Of course, I mean, already we're seeing some of the results coming forward. But in terms of also solving some of the issues of violent crime, I think that too is certainly one that a lot of St. Lucians want to be able to know, because we've been seeing, unfortunately, year after year, upwards of 60 or 70 homicides in a year. And the vast majority of those homicides are being undertaken by private individuals. They are not police homicides. They are in the main. They are involving guns, in many instances, illegal weapons as well. And so certainly this matter is of grave concern. And let's hope that we can in fact see some positive results in this situation. Now, also want to take on a somewhat related issue, and that is with respect to what appears to be brewing in the waters of the Caribbean. We, of course, are in the hurricane season, and we would expect a fair number of tropical storms and depressions and perhaps even hurricanes. But there appears to be a military storm a brew, and that one, of course, is causing some degree of concern with respect to authorities within the Caribbean, and certainly as well within the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. And that is as a result of the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Southern Command mobilizing a significant amount of weaponry, of assets of its Fourth Fleet into the Caribbean Sea. And according to what we've seen, there are 3 U.S. guided missile destroyers arriving off the coast of Venezuela. And in addition to that, some other warships as well. And those include the USS Iwo Jima, the USS San Antonio, the USS Fort Lauderdale, also being supported by the USS Gravely, the USS Jason Dunham, and also the USS Minneapolis, the USS Sampson, and as well the likelihood of an unknown fast attack submarine also being mobilized into the Caribbean Sea within the general vicinity of Venezuela. Now, according to the U.S. Officials, this is in response to accusations that they have made that they have seen effectively state-sponsored drug trafficking through Venezuela. And that is the claim that the United States is putting forward, and which is being put forward as a justification to see the extensive use of these vessels, these of the U.S. Navy, up to 10 distinct assets coming forward, of course, including, as we mentioned, missile destroyers. This, of course, has certainly not been, I think, witnessed before in terms of dealing with the matter of drugs. We have seen, generally speaking, in the case of the United States, a lot of use of the U.S. Coast Guard assets in the matter of drug interdiction. But in this instance, we're seeing U.S. Navy assets being utilized in this situation. And it's, I'm not sure that we can say that it's unprecedented, but certainly I'm not sure that we've seen this type of force or this presence of U.S. military assets in certainly quite some time within the Caribbean Sea. Now, it has caused a degree of concern across the Caribbean. And what is also of interest is the statement coming out of the government of Trinidad and Tobago. Of course, that is a government that has been around for not too long, the Kamla Persad-Bissessar administration. And they are seemingly siding, of course, with the United States and the Trump administration over this matter, that they are, in fact, effectively giving a tacit endorsement of the actions coming out of the United States. The statement reads as follows: the U.S. government's deployment of American military assets into the Caribbean region to destroy the terrorist drug cartels has the full support of the government of Trinidad and Tobago. The only persons who should be worried about this activity of the U.S. military are those engaged in or enabling criminal activity. Law-abiding citizens have nothing to fear. The Trinidad and Tobago government has not engaged and has no intention of engaging CARICOM on this matter. Each member state can speak for themselves on this issue. No requests have ever been made by the American government for their military assets to access Trinidadian territory for any military action against the Venezuelan regime. Trinidad and Tobago has always had good relations with the Venezuelan people, and that will continue. However, I want to make it very clear that if the Maduro regime launches any attack against the Guyanese people or invades Guyanese territory, and a request is made by the American government for access to Trinidadian territory to defend the people of Guyana, the Trinidadian government will provide that access. The U.S. government's deployment of American military assets into the Caribbean region to destroy the terrorist drug cartels has the full support of the government of Trinidad and Tobago. Due to drug, human, and firearms trafficking, Caribbean countries, and in particular Trinidad and Tobago, have experienced massive spikes in transnational crime, gang activity, murders, violence, and financial crimes. Most Caribbean countries, and in particular Trinidad and Tobago, have been dealing with out-of-control crime for the last 20 years. Small island states like ours simply do not have the financial and military resources to take on the drug cartels. And that message coming from the Trinidadian authorities regarding the matter of the recent actions by the United States of America. Now, of course, there has been criticism of the Prasad Bessessa regime, particularly in respect of the suggestions that every country can speak for itself, according to her. And that, of course, perhaps somewhat flies in the face of the general approach that would be wanted in some matters regarding the dealing with effectively the the regional collaboration that is normally expected. Of course, we are signatories to the Treaty of Chaguaramas, and there are certain expectations in terms of how to come together. But that is seemingly not the position of the current administration over in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, there have been certain comments coming from former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago on this matter. But actually, before I get into his comments, I just want to finish the statement coming out of the government of Trinidad and Tobago. We only read the first page. So it continues as follows. Cartels have been enabled to embed themselves in the high echelons of Caribbean societies, thereby expecting significant influence in political, legislative, media, banking, security, and economic decisions, often rendering governments toothless to enact actual change to stop criminal activity. Very interesting comments there. Record murder rates, gang activity, drug addictions, violent crime, and increasing poverty throughout the Caribbean, and especially in our country, certainly do not paint a peaceful existence. Therefore, it is shocking to hear some persons using referrals to the Caribbean region as a zone of peace to push negative commentary on the U.S. military deployment against these terrorist cartels. The only persons who should be worried about the activity of the U.S. military are those engaged in or enabling criminal activity. Law-abiding citizens have nothing to fear. Despite the misinformation being peddled, the U.S. military is operating legally in international waters within the region and have not breached any nation's sovereignty. The Trinidad and Tobago government has not engaged and has no intention of engaging CARICOM on this matter. Each member state can speak for themselves on this issue. Trinidad and Tobago has been helplessly drowning in blood and violence for the last 20 years. Vice President Vance spoke the truth when he mentioned our high murder and crime rates. Therefore, no amount of Trump derangement, syndrome tantrums, and anti-American propaganda will prevent my government from welcoming assistance to combat the terrorist drug cartels. Other CARICOM countries are free to make their decisions based on the best interest of their citizens. Finally, no requests have ever been made by the American government for their military assets to access Trinidadian territory for any military action against the Venezuelan regime. Trinidad and Tobago has always had good relations with the Venezuelan people, and that will continue. However, I want to make it very clear that if the Maduro regime launches any attack against the Guyanese people or invades Guyanese territory, and a request is made by the American government for access to Trinidadian territory to defend the people of Guyana, my government will unflinchingly provide them that access. May good sense and peace prevail. And this is the message that was sent out from the government of Trinidad and Tobago. We've taken the comments of Mr. Keith Rowley later on, but we in fact are already due for our weather report. Of course, very important at this time that we take it in. So we'll head to take that in. That's our dish of the day.
This has been The Daily Dish.
Every bed in our hospitals tells a story of someone's mother, someone's brother, someone's friend. And when that story of care is complete, it's time for the next chapter, home. But too often, discharged patients are left waiting hours, days, weeks, sometimes months, not because they want to stay, but because no one comes. We understand life gets busy, but every extra day they wait means another patient, perhaps in pain, perhaps in crisis, can't get the bed they desperately need. So when the call comes that your loved one is ready, please be ready too. Pick them up, bring them back to the comfort of family, where healing truly continues. Because caring doesn't end at discharge, it continues with you. A message from the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs.
It's now time for your weather report, brought to you by Island Style.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with the style stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my #1 store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and Viewfort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And the forecast for St. Lucia Valley for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from between the east to the east. Winds will be blowing from east and east-southeast near 18 miles per hour or 30 kilometers per hour. Weather partly cloudy, becoming cloudy at times with a few scattered showers to moderate showers and a possibility of isolated thunderstorms. Forecast for the Lesser Antilles. Partly cloudy, becoming cloudy at times with widely scattered showers which will be locally heavy and isolated thunderstorms mainly over the central Windward Islands. The tropical weather outlook. Moisture and instability in the wake of the tropical wave will continue to produce showers and isolated thunderstorms mainly over the central Lesser Antilles during the next 24 hours. Another tropical wave located over the central tropical Atlantic is moving westward near 12 miles per hour or 19 kilometers per hour. A third tropical wave has emerged from the west coast of Africa and is moving westward at 12 miles per hour or 19 kilometers per hour. And that was your weather report brought to you by Island Style.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with the style stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. Will help bring your vision to life in living color.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Of course, we're going to take in some calls at this time. It's about 16 minutes before the hour of 2 o'clock, and the number is 4523046. Good afternoon, and welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Good afternoon, Mr. George.
How are you doing, sir?
How are you? How was the weekend?
Very good.
Everybody.
They're all good, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You see what we discussed the other day, you see, that, right? You see what you're saying there? You see how fractured the thing is, CARICOM.
Wow, yeah.
When it comes to these kind of matters now, everybody want to be pragmatic, and we cannot really say what a line of reasoning is flawed. I mean, really and truly, I think if it have to come to that, I think even in St. Lucia, people would vote for that if it had to come, if they feel that would make a serious dent in
Well, I think
crime.
we all want to see, exactly, we all want to see crime go down.
Eh?
We all want to see crime go down.
Yeah.
We all want
Yeah.
to see, and deal with it from the root. Although
Yeah.
some people will debate what the root is, but a lot of people have pointed out one of the main drivers of crime, of course, is the guns and narcotics coming out of South
Absolutely.
America.
So,
It's a major issue.
The link is there.
There's a major issue
the
there.
The connection is there, so you could see.
But then you then have to ask.
This thing is a thing would have popular support. She's not unique in that position, eh? I don't think so.
Right. But then you then have to ask, do you fight these cartels with missile destroyers? Do you bring in 3 missile destroyers?
Well, that's another argument, because that seems to be extreme, because to me, I don't even think, you think they had so much firepower when they invaded Grenada?
I doubt. I mean,
Exactly.
10 separate vessels.
What this made, what this thing suggests that not Russians, since the time of Khrushchev.
And then you look at, I mean,
maybe
like I said, I
not
know
wrong that time, but I'm sure you've read about it.
Yes. Now, but I'm
that kind of level. That level has not been reached. What the kind of firepower since that time, you're talking about the fear of war, a serious
Yes.
But,
I mean, the British sometimes have one vessel in the Caribbean. The French might have one or two. The Americans, I'm not sure, but but what we're now witnessing, and I know they would normally have used a lot of their Coast Guard vessels, their Coast Guard assets, or what we would have thought that would have been tended to be utilized in these types of drug interdiction matters. But to be bringing in the kind of vessels that we're seeing, it doesn't appear. I'm not sure that you need 3 missile destroyers, vessels coming into the Caribbean. I mean,
but Khalid, that's in keeping with
the
current American administration.
It appears that there's a desire to heighten tensions.
Because see how they have deployed the use of the military, even on their local situation.
That's an interesting viewpoint. That's an interesting viewpoint.
So,
yeah.
You ask yourself, what's new when you see that kind of firepower?
Right.
But that is, at least we could say they're consistent in that they're going real hard
on everything.
Perceive the roots of the crime.
Yeah. Well, and it's an interesting point that you're raising, because even in the case of Washington D.C., I think he's taken over the police.
Yeah.
In the capital.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
And people have been questioning about that.
It's like this little thing before of Coast Guard and all this kind of thing. Now, and people interpret it differently, which you're free to do. But
right.
I think it would be a hard sell for people to seriously oppose this lady's position, in the CARICOM, even among CARICOM leaders. It would be interesting to see how. And you said you had to read something from Rowley?
Yes, well, some of the comments coming out of Rowley, which I'll read in a little bit.
But Rowley, not a wrong Rowley.
I know he's lost, eh?
To say anything, But
yeah,
he has to govern. And
of course.
To a great extent, the crime is what had a day.
But on the flip side of it too, one of our biggest sources of weapons in the Caribbean is the United States of America, right? And we've been asking about, how can you help us improve on that aspect of things? They're the largest producers of guns, they're the largest owners of guns in the world by a large margin. And we get a lot of weapons and ammunition not coming in through the coastlines, and of course they're coming in through containers and barrels at this point.
No, but it's like it's not all about guns and things like that,
No, but then you have not really heard. Yeah, but you have not heard
it's about to be, if it's ours, it's all right. But if they come in from another source, because ours, we have our finger on ours, we know where it's going, who's sending it to, making the money, how we benefiting. If it's theirs, like you see, most of the guns come from them. Most of, the instruments used come from them. But it's okay if it comes from them.
It's okay if it's okay.
You understand?
Oh boy.
For them, it's okay if it comes from them. They're not going to, interdict those that there, but they'll interdict those coming from, the potential from outside.
Yeah, but I don't even know how many. I'm not saying that Venezuela is not part of the challenge of smuggling into the Caribbean. There's no doubt about that too, and Colombia. But what we don't know is the actual flows and how relative to one or the other. It may very well be that the U.S. is even more of a major source market in terms of guns and ammunition.
Things like CARICOM and how toothless they tensions arise. It's just like the United Nations. CARICOM will become absolutely a toothless tiger when it comes to the kind of decisions people have to make now. And it would seem that the right has it, the right has the upper hand because of what's happening in America. The kind of things happening.
Well, you know what? Let's see how it pans out because it'll be very interesting.
So
Okay.
I'm looking forward to what things says.
Sure. Yes, I'll share that as well. Yes. And of course, very interesting points being raised there as well. Dr. Keith Rowley's statements coming out just about 7 hours ago. He reads as follows: Trinidad's government just lit a match in the Caribbean. And we just pause one moment to take in another call. Good afternoon and welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today? Hi, afternoon. How are you?
Not too bad.
Okay.
Now, the cricket, that Trinidadian bowler, he does throw. It's time they show him how to bowl or get him out of the game.
Was he throwing or was he just holding back?
He's throwing. The way he takes his throwing, he's not spinning it, hammer the ball down.
Well, I'm not sure, but I would think that if he was in fact doing so, then there would be reason for the captain to raise it and bring up a.
Stop them. They said you have to learn how to hammer the ball down. You throw, and that chap there, and he do your step. He'll kill in the game. He'll kill the game.
Interesting view.
Don't take him all together, but show him how to bowl.
Very well, caller. Thanks very much for that point.
Could America and send so many in the Caribbean to say they're going for cartel? Most of the drugs that pass through in the Caribbean Sea, in the Atlantic Ocean, they are PM, Colombian, all other countries. That's the way to the sea. Because those three are landlocked. And you have to get the drugs away. So the drugs, they take it by boat, by bus, by thing. But from to the Caribbean, by.
Well, let's see what happens, caller.
It's always a violent country. There is always a lot of violence. A lot of people get killed in.
Okay, caller, we still seem to be having a bit of problems trying to hear you. It keeps breaking up. But our apologies that
okay.
I think we got a gist of what you were saying.
Yeah, so I don't know why that beset will say they're not after drugs or anything like that. They want to start a war with Venezuela.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's see how that goes out, too. Thanks very much for that, caller. And how do you sustain that? Would it, it'll be very interesting to see how that pans out, to be quite honest, if it is, in fact, quote unquote, for the purpose of drug interdiction and dealing with the drug cartels. Let's hope we can see how that all pans out. Of course, I don't think there's going to be any challenging militarily wise from any other player around. Just to share Dr. Rowley's sentiments. Trinidad's government just lit a match in the Caribbean. The UNC government has issued what may be the most reckless foreign policy statement we've seen in years. And they did it with the kind of confidence that only comes when you think nobody is paying attention. Read closely, and you'll find it's less about fighting crime or defending sovereignty and more about telegraphing that Trinidad and Tobago has chosen its side, Washington's. And not cautiously either. The wording is so heavy with repetition. The law-abiding citizens have nothing to fear. The U.S. has our full support. That it reads like someone trying to convince themselves, not the nation. The part that should make every Caribbean head turn is the outright dismissal of CARICOM. Trinidad declared that, quote, each member state can speak for themselves, end quote. Translation, regional unity is good until it clashes with Uncle Sam. That one line detonates years of collective diplomacy. Small islands, which were strongest when moving together, are now being told, quote, good luck, all you fend for yourself, end quote. And the crime argument, it is pure deflection. Yes, we are drowning in blood. Yes, the murder figures are obscene, but no amount of U.S. warships parked in international waters will fix corrupt police, court backlogs, or communities abandoned by the state. Linking our domestic collapse to drug cartels abroad is lazy politics. Worse, it's a ready-made excuse to invite foreign military power into the region without showing how it makes us safer. Then comes the Venezuelan clause, quote, we respect the Venezuelan people, the statement says, before announcing boldface that if Maduro even sneezes in Guyana's direction, Washington can use Trinidad as a staging ground. That isn't hedging, that's planting a flag. Venezuela will read it as betrayal, Guyana will see it as a blank check, and Washington will quietly note they now have a willing Caribbean client. Notice also what's missing. Not a word about parliamentary debate, not a whisper of consultation with the citizens who supposedly own this sovereignty. One cabinet promise, and the door is wide open to foreign troops. This is how democracy thins out, not in one big dramatic collapse, but in quiet executive decisions that never touch the parliament door. And here is why the cynical Trini voice cuts in. Well, Kamala been talking Trump talk a long time. We look for that. Because, end quote, because let's be real, the language here, dismissing, quote, anti-American propaganda and snaring about, quote, Trump derangement syndrome, end quote, could have been lifted straight off a Fox News Chiron. The UNC copied the playbook, and now the country is living with the fallout. The implications are stark. CARICOM unity, compromised. Venezuelan relations, poisoned. American access, granted without guarantees. Trinidad has just swapped regional solidarity for a pat on the head from Washington. The sobering coda. It's tempting to laugh at the absurdity of it and at the cut-and-paste Trumpisms, at the chest beating about law-abiding citizens, but the truth is the government just mortgaged our sovereignty without a serious national conversation. Foreign military access is not something you whisper through a press release. It's the kind of decision that can reshape generations. If Trinidad and Tobago abandons CARICOM today for convenience, then tomorrow we will face the world alone, small and exposed. And no foreign power, however friendly it seems now, will ever put our interests before their own. This is bigger than UNC or PNM. It is about whether we remain a Caribbean nation in solidarity with our neighbors or whether we settle into the role of an American outpost. And here's the harder truth. Under Kamala Persad-Bissessar, there is no evidence of patriotism. Sovereignty is treated as disposable, something to trade when it suits her, something transactional. That cynicism leaves the country hollow. We wave the flag at independence, we belt out the anthem at football matches, we swell with pride when Kershawn hurls a javelin or Wendy sprints down the track. But when it comes to defending the meaning of that flag and anthem, this government shrugs, signs away the right, and calls it leadership. That is the sovereignty irony. Patriotic language for show, sovereignty bartered away in practice. Kamala treats the nation like a chip in someone else's casino. And when leaders behave like brokers instead of patriots, it's always the people who lose, left waving the symbols of a country, while the substance slips quietly out the back door. And there is another piece here. It says, compare that with what CARICOM did last time with big guns, USA, Canada, and Europe. Gave Maduro 8 guns. When Maduro was given 8 days to leave and threaten invasion if he did not comply. CARICOM showed leadership. 1, by sticking together and talking with one voice. 2, we showed leadership by talking to the UN in New York. Prime Ministers Rowley, Titi, Motley, and Harris were dispatched to New York to see the Secretary General of the UN to request dialogue instead of war. 3, CARICOM was in the forefront of a CARICOM-Uruguay summit, which resulted in the Montevideo Accord, strongly supported by Mexico, Norway, South Africa, and the African Union. And 4, finally, we gathered in St. Vincent, where Guyana and Venezuela did the unexpected and unthinkable. Both Presidents Maduro and Irfan Ali were brought face-to-face by CARICOM under the chairmanship of PM Ralph Gonsalves and CARICOM leaders to sign the Honors Veil Accord. This period of heightened tension was tempered with aggressive, frenetic CARICOM leadership, which until last week saw a period of calm and peace until Washington unilaterally hatched this latest tension under the guise of fighting drugs and crime, etc., with nuclear submarine, marines, and guided missile vessels in international waters. With this legacy in the face of the intractable issues surrounding us, Trinidad and Tobago has now set our decades-old successful foreign policy alight as a beacon to advocates of the Monroe Doctrine. Dr. Eric Williams, Errol Barrow, Compton, Bradshaw, and E.T. Joshua must be awakening from their slumber to try and save what they have built. And that was a post coming out of the page of Dr. Keith Rowley. We are a little over time already on our program, but of course we'll be back again tomorrow on the Lunchroom, and we do hope that you can join us for another program, God willing, tomorrow or Tuesday. Take care.
Continuous hit music. Now on 101 number 1.
Give me all of that. I catch it not attack.